I want something else to get me through my seven-time kind of life.
Borderline.
That's it.
See, I think I'm getting better at singing. I hate that note.
Hello there. Welcome to Oddball. I'm Amin Elhassan, and sitting right over there, that's Charlotte Wilder.
Hello.
We're in New York City. You didn't notice. From the glorious New York City background behind Charlotte in the studio. Hell of a show today, Charlotte.
Hell of a show because we had a field trip.
Yes, we did.
We did the most New York thing possible, the most New York basketball thing possible in New York, in Brooklyn. We went to Knicks Nets at Barclays Center. I watched all of the halftime and commercial break entertainment.
You were locked in with the hype team.
Team Hype.
Team Hype.
Excuse
me. They're Team Hype, not the Hype team.
Team Hype and the Brooklyn Nets put on incredible performances. Unfortunately for Brooklyn, their Nets did not. Yeah,
no incredible performance from the home team.
They could have used some trampolines, am I right?
Well, they could use a lot more than just trampolines. It was weird because both of these teams obviously play in the city, so it's not really a road game for the Knicks. They just get on the bus and come on over.
Right.
They come in, they play, and the Knicks had an energy and an aggression that the Nets just didn't have throughout the entirety of the game.
The Knicks were much faster paced too, and
which is weird because they're not a running team, but they ran the hell out of the Nets.
And the Nets just looked like sort of confused and messy the whole time.
I'll tell you one observation I had from the night, which is outside of Summer League, there is no greater concentration of defunct jerseys in the crowd than there is at a Knicks game. I go to games all over the country. I see all types of teams play. And every once in a while, you'll get someone who shows up, I got a Nick Collison Sonics jersey. Oh, aren't you cute?
Yeah, here's my Brian Scalabrine.
Right, yeah, Celtics jersey. Like every once in a while, you'll see one of those. They were everywhere last night. It was like a walking history of the Knicks, but not like a glorious history. It's not like I saw a Walt Clyde Frazier jersey and then a Patrick Ewing. And it was like Nate Robinson, Amari Stoudemire, J.R. Smith, Jamal Crawford, a bedazzled Marcus Camby jersey.
I mean, you were like, is that a Marcus Camby jersey? And I was like, yes, I think it is bedazzled. And you're like, no. And then the light caught it a certain, not just the number, not just a name, full on whole thing rhinestones.
Yep.
Did someone make that? I have so many questions.
The league did not sell that. So like, hey guys, what if I sold you a Marcus Camby jersey with glitter all over it?
Right. But did somebody else take that and make it?
Yes.
Or did that person who was wearing it?
Yeah.
Is this a
with the glue gun?
You think this is bought?
That was a custom job.
Okay.
I think that was paid
Maybe
for.
it was. We didn't see his face. Was it Marcus Camby himself?
No, it wasn't Marcus Camby.
Okay.
I didn't see his face, but I also saw that he wasn't 7 feet tall. So that's the giveaway.
That'll do it.
I saw Derrick Rose. And my favorite thing is sometimes when I'm watching some of these people wear jerseys, it's not necessarily how old the jersey is. Like, they made that. They made that. So I saw someone yesterday with a Miles McBride jersey, and I said, they made that.
And they bought that.
But it was, forget about they bought it.
It's the making of it.
Someone made it available. There was a guy with a Blake Griffin Nets jersey last night.
Well.
They made that.
Yes, because he was very impressive for his age with the Nets. Do you remember when Blake was on the Nets and he came into a game and he was like definitely hurting and they're like, oh my God, this guy's 35 and he was bright red and they were like, he's doing a really good job for an old guy. It was like the meanest, the most condescending broadcast.
There was more interesting / more serious news that came out of the game. We learned that Mitchell Robinson is going to be out for the rest of the year. After ankle surgery, the Knicks applied for the disabled player exception, which is given to you when you lose someone for the year. It's not like, oh, he's out, can I go get another player? It's no, he's out and he's not coming back. That's somewhere in the neighborhood of $7 million. It'll be interesting to see what they can do. They signed Taj Gibson, obviously, before all of this happened. Before this announcement, and he played a lot, and he looked like someone who hasn't played in a while. And is on the older side. But when I think about where they're at, because also Jericho Sims, who was their third string big, who then became their backup big when Hartenstein had to start, he's hurt.
Yeah.
And that's also what kind of triggered them signing Taj Gibson. But now with that DPE, they can go out and get some actual help for the bench for a big. But I'm just like, I don't know what help exists. And they're not the only team that's looking for a big. I would say the Celtics are looking for a big. I would say the Warriors are looking for a big. So there's a mystical, magical big out there. There's a little competition.
When that happens, when there is competition before the trade deadline for a certain specific type of player, does that change the market at all? Like the Knicks, I believe it was $7.8 million they get to give to somebody because of Mitch. If there are other teams that also want that person, do they then go into their pockets for more money, or is it capped for?
So it depends, right? It depends. Are we talking about acquiring someone via trade? Then it's kind of irrelevant. It's like this is just a tool for them to acquire someone who makes up to $7.8 million via that exception. If I'm another team, I can just trade for whatever. I mean, so can the Knicks. The Knicks can say, "Oh, I'm not going to use that for this. I'm going to trade someone else." But the idea is that that's what that money's for, either that or to sign someone to a one-year deal worth that much, right? The problem is, again, these guys aren't out there.
Right.
Now, we'll see when we get past the trade deadline, when we get to, March and the buyout market, maybe that's something that can be revisited and it can be used as a stronger tool. But it's there's not a whole hell of a lot. I mean, it's nice to have. It's obviously you do it because you want to have it.
Right.
You'd rather have it, not use it, than need it, not have it. But it doesn't really change much because the difficulty isn't like, oh, how am I going to pay another big? The difficulty is, where's the bigs?
Right. Where's the bigs? I'm available. I'll take $7.8 million if the Knicks.
Only if your jersey's bedazzled. Moving on. Lakers and Bulls got together last night. Those darn pesky Chicago Bulls. They're doing it again. I swear to God. I'm like, you guys aren't good. Just pack it in. And then they just keep winning enough to convince themselves that maybe. And then, we know where it's going to end. It's going to end somewhere in the play-in or a lot earlier than that. But they did it again last night. They beat the Lakers 124-108 really handily. DeMar DeRozan was sensational, 27 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. And, of course, LeBron, the Lakers in town, all the people talking about trade rumors. How can we help the Lakers?
Yeah.
What's the news story? The news story is like, I kind of like Alex Caruso. Yeah, that would work real well with what we're trying to do here. So, Caruso, DeRozan, LaVine.
Yes.
3 names that have been linked.
Command a lot of different amounts of money.
Yes.
LaVine is what, $215 million deal in year 2 of it?
So LaVine beyond this year has next year, has another year, and then has a third
another year.
That's a player option, though.
Okay.
So it's something like $48 million player option in that third year. But that is essentially, not counting this year, about $140 million in guaranteed money that you would be inheriting, right?
For Zach LaVine.
DeRozan, last year of his deal. Caruso, last year of his deal. So they're a little bit more flexible, but also they make a more modest amount of money and, truth be told, probably have a more plug-and-play skill set with regards to the Lakers.
Well, we've also seen Caruso
Be
work
a Laker.
in LA.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's and it seemed to work well. Caruso's making $9.5 million this season, 9.9 next, and
that's an option though, right?
Yeah. So. And so that looks a lot nicer than who's going to take Zach?
That's
what do you do with Zach?
It's a weird thing. DeRozan, because of his reputation and his skill set and his salary, if there's a market for him out there, I believe it's going to be a very competitive market. Same thing for Alex Caruso. It's going to be a very competitive market for him. So the Lakers, what do they have to offer? player-wise, not a whole lot much.
D'Angelo Russell.
D'Angelo Russell, but it's like if I'm the Bulls, I'm not sitting around saying, you know what I really need? I need D'Angelo Russell. Why do I have an Alex Caruso and I can get a D'Angelo Russell? Don't say that. Right. So it's like, okay, so you got to throw in picks. Here's the problem. The Lakers owe a 2024 first-round pick to New Orleans. Mm-hmm. They also owe a 2027 first-round pick to Utah. You say, well, I mean, all right, so what's the big deal? The problem is the NBA has this rule called the Stepien rule. It does not allow you to trade future first-round picks that occur in consecutive drafts. So because 2024 is going to New Orleans, I am not allowed to trade the 2025 first-round pick. You say, okay, I could just do 2 years later, 2026. No. What that is, because the Utah one is there, so then I would be owing 26 and 27. So the earliest first-round pick the Lakers can trade without infringing on that or trying to rearrange that, maybe you do a deal with New Orleans where we postpone when I owe you that pick or whatever it is. But without doing anything crazy like that, the earliest first-round pick the Lakers can offer is 2029.
Yikes.
And if you're Chicago, D'Angelo Russell and a 2029 first-round pick. I maybe, because you could say in 2029, surely LeBron will have retired by then, and then they'll be most likely a mess. But also, maybe that's just not as great a package as I can get from other places, right? So those are the obstacles up front for those two players. For LaVine, I think it's a lot easier to say, I don't owe you a first-round pick. I'm doing you a favor. I'm cleaning up your books, right?
Right. I'm taking that massive contract.
Yeah, but now you've got LaVine locked long-term, Anthony Davis locked long-term, Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, Gabe Vincent. It's like, this is your, like, outside
Not
of
a lot of flexibility.
Outside of LeBron, who, by the way, can walk at the end of the year. You just locked into a fairly mediocre operation. So
I tell you what, I mean, I don't think I'd do it.
If you're the Lakers?
Yeah. That's my the basketball analysis.
But the problem is always when you have LeBron James, there is a pressure of, especially now, not LeBron James when he was 28, LeBron James when he's 39 going on 40, right? How do I maximize this?
Yeah.
What do I sacrifice? I will sacrifice tomorrow gladly to make today work with him because I don't know how many more todays with him I have.
Yeah.
So
how much of this do you think is that LaVine is a clutch sports guy? Does that factor in at all? I see some articles talking about it, and I have a hard time believing that actually makes.
I think people overblow, like, not Rich Paul's influence, because he's very influential, obviously, but like
how much that affects teams' decision making.
Well, how much Rich is pushing that agenda.
Right.
Oh, Lakers, you got to get all my clients. Like, you talk to Rich, he'll tell you, he's like, my job isn't to get all my clients playing in the same city.
Right.
My job is to get my clients to play in the best possible situations for them.
Right.
Right? And Zach LaVine, I don't know that playing in LA is the best possible situation for him to showcase his talents, to be happy, to be fulfilled basketball-wise, right?
Yeah.
Not saying the Lakers couldn't use him. I'm not saying, hey, playing with LeBron might unlock. Yeah, sure, but I think that's not a priority as much as, like, let's get him somewhere where he's comfortable, where he likes to play, where they're going to use him the way that he feels comfortable. So. Charlotte, we got news out of Cleveland, according to Shams Charania and Joe Varden of The Athletic. The Cavs and Ricky Rubio are discussing ways to part ways with the team, which is needing a roster spot and needs guard help. Obviously, Darius Garland is out with a broken jaw. They need help.
Real quick detour. I was watching when that happened, and it was one of the more bizarre injuries. And I'm not. This isn't funny. Like, it looked absolutely awful, but he ran right into Porzingis's torso, and then was on the ground, and then there was blood. And it was like a bizarre, he must have hit a hip bone or something, but it was like, I don't know that I've ever seen a...
Yeah, it's not fun.
It seems awful. I feel very bad. Also, like, a jaw, rehabbing that, sure, but then you can't really run. You get out...
the biggest thing is you can't eat.
Yeah.
A lot of people lose weight when they have
their
jaw has to get wired, and so then everything is on a liquid diet or whatever.
I feel so bad for him.
No, it stinks. It stinks for him. It stinks for Cleveland. Yeah. And so they're looking to release Ricky Rubio. Now I know you wonder, like, Ricky Rubio's on the Cavs. When did that happen? Like, he's been on the Cavs. He just hasn't been playing. He took a leave of absence in the offseason from the team to deal with a, quote, mental health situation. And the thoughts is he might be done playing basketball for good. So they're going to try. He's got $6.1 million this year, and then next year he's only got $4.25 million guaranteed. So Cavs are going to try and buy him out of that, maybe at a reduced rate, maybe take it, waive it, stretch it over a longer amount of time to reduce that cap hit. But it's crazy that this dude who I remember when he was 14 years old playing professional basketball in Spain. Like, by 16, he was starting for Barcelona. He was what Luka actually ended up being. Right? Like this wonderkind. I remember at 14 years old, he played for Spain in the under 19s or whatever, and he was putting up these crazy stat lines, like 40 points, 22 rebounds, 18 assists, right? And so it's like, oh, this guy, he's going to be the guy. He signed this pro contract at like 15 or whatever, 14, 15. And then as he got older, it's like he plateaued.
Yeah.
It wasn't still like that huge gap between him and his peers.
Mm-hmm.
And still, it's amazing to be 17, 18 years old playing for Team Spain in the Olympics or whatever, playing for Barcelona, one of the best clubs in the world. But he was kind of like, as a role player, like, yeah, he's like, I set guys up. I'm a really good passer, I'm a really good point guard, not a good shooter, and I'm a terrible layup person around the rim. Like, he was really bad at layups, right? So then he gets drafted in 2009 and gets drafted by Minnesota, and he's like, I don't want to go there, like, because it's Minnesota, right?
It's not Spain.
It's not Spain.
Well, people do say that St. Paul is the Spain of America.
You know what's crazy? He wanted to go to Sacramento.
Really?
Yeah, he said...
I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say that.
He liked the weather. He thought the weather was very close to like where he grew up in Spain. So that's why he wanted to go to Sacramento.
Does he know there are other cities in California?
At that point, I don't think he knew that.
He hadn't learned yet.
But again, like, never forget, he got picked ahead of Steph Curry. Like,
I forgot.
They literally had two cracks at it. Minnesota did. They had 5 and 6. And they took Johnny Flynn from Syracuse, and they took Ricky Rubio. Or is it Rubio
Johnny
first
Flynn.
and Johnny Flynn? But I say all that to say Ricky Rubio was the thing. And coincidentally, years later, when Luka Doncic was coming out, and people were saying, well, you guys said the same thing about Ricky Rubio. I was like, there's a difference. Ricky Rubio was amazing because at a young age, he was playing pro ball on one of the best clubs in Europe and starting. This guy was the MVP of the Euro. It's a huge difference between, wow, look at you young fella, you're keeping up with everybody, and, oh, that's the best player in the league. Right. And I bring all of this up because when I see Ricky Rubio, mental health, I wonder, what was that like? The dude didn't have a childhood.
Which 14 is so young.
Yeah.
14 is 9th grade.
Yeah.
Think about, what were you doing when you were in 9th grade?
9th grade.
I was like trying to do math homework. And to have that expectation set so young, I can only imagine, and I don't want to speculate on what he's going through, but I can only imagine that it's like being a child star. You have you grow up quickly in a way that nobody else, unless they're in your position, has to.
It's like being a child star, and you weren't a child star on like Facts of Life or Family Matters or whatever. You're like Neil Patrick Harris, a child star in a cast of everyone's an adult, a grown up, who when we're done with this, I'm going out having a beer, chasing tail, whatever, and I'm like, my mom is picking me up, like it's one of those things.
Yeah. Something about this story that was interesting to me is that the way the Cavs, or it was framed in whatever news story I was reading, of feeling a sense of, if not loyalty, wanting to do right by him because Ricky Rubio was so instrumental in turning things around and making them have it be a play-in tournament team, which did not look like they were going to be before 2021. So the fact that they want to take care of him or do this in a way that doesn't totally screw him over. I don't know how you could do that because of a contract also.
I mean,
but it was an interesting slant on because it also is a business and you don't hear that said that often.
I think, truth be told, I don't think if they hadn't had their injury issues and their needs, I don't think they would have pursued this option. I think they would have been willing to wait and see.
Yeah.
Let them figure it out. But like at this point, they're like, dude, take your time, but also I kind of need that seat.
Yeah. Is this taken?
Yeah.
Ricky Rubio also sounds, that name could be.
Ricky! Oh, man.
That's Rick Rubin in Spanish. Sorry.
We'll be back.
I mean, we're going to do something new today because the Dallas Mavericks posted a video of Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic walking into an arena together.
Oh.
And when I saw this, my first thought...
Oh, there it is on the screen.
Yeah,
right
do you
now.
see it?
Yeah.
Do you see them walking in?
Slow motion, huh?
Yeah. My first thought when I saw this was, if I didn't know that these were two basketball players walking into a basketball game, what would I think was going on here?
Right.
And I have a few that I came up with that I would love to share with you.
By all means.
I think this is a scene in the Bourne Identity, like the fifth Bourne Identity, where Jokic, who is a hired hitman, is talking to Luka, this young guy that he is sort of manipulating to do the hit for him so he doesn't get in trouble.
Yeah.
That was the first one I thought of.
Yeah, I can see that. I mine, the one that first came up to me is similar. That Nikola looks like a mob boss, right?
Yeah.
And Luka's like the young, brash, like he's a kid with a lot of steam, and he might be a made man one day, but he's not made yet.
Yes.
And he's telling, you do this for me, kid. And he like pinches his cheek. Then you got something. Yeah. Also, another thing is Jokic, successful investment banker.
I was just going to say that. I'm not even kidding. I was going to say a successful investment banker dad who like sees his kids once a month and decides to like take him to basketball.
I got successful investment banker, and Luka is his idiot son who, despite going to the best schools, right?
Yeah.
Has just declared his dad, Dad, I know what I want to do when I grow up. I want to be a rapper.
That's really good. That's really
good.
It's
like Chet Hanks, basically, is what I'm saying.
Oh.
Shout out to Chet Hanks.
Shout out, Chet.
I liked you in Your Honor. He did a good job.
I have one more, which is that Jokic is the guy at the high-end menswear store, and this young man is brought in by his wife-to-be, being like, we need to get him some real clothes. He can't go to the engagement party looking like this.
You sound like that sounds a little too close to home.
No. I am Luka in this situation.
Tyler had to be like, hey,
he's like,
you guys,
you can't leave the house like that.
She wears sweats and Air Force Ones all the time. Don't pan down, camera. All right, let's look at this picture right here.
Okay.
And this is Zach LaVine. He's entering the arena, and he's got a Goodfellas shirt on.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, the first thing I thought was, as far back as I can remember, I've always wanted to be traded from Chicago.
Okay, well, that's probably the best one. To me, this looks like he is one of Tommy DeVito's best friends from high school, showing up to the pizza place that Tommy had to show up to and trying to freeload off of his recent success.
I also have, this is the guy who, whenever you say, oh, I haven't seen it, you've never seen? I can't believe it. Like, what have
it's
you
like
done
in Barbie when he used to raise his, have you seen The Godfather?
I finally watched that movie.
Funny, right?
Yeah, it's really funny.
Really funny.
Yeah. It dragged a little in the third act, but it's a funny movie. But yes. What else do you have for Zach LaVine?
I think I also have the guy who is like from a very wealthy family and discovers like that there are people who don't have as much money as he does and is really into movies about like rough and tumble blue collar and wears this to like his prep school, like wears this to Deerfield after Christmas break, and the teachers are like, that's not dress code, and he's like, my dad's a trustee, what are you gonna do about it?
I have him also as crypto bro, who's worth $27 billion. But because of that, he's like, I dress down in T-shirts and sneakers all the time.
He's just missing the hoodie.
I like this game. We should do this more often.
Yeah, me too. It was fun.
So,
how do you solve a problem like Zach Loving.
Don't know the reference.
Sound of Music.
Oh my gosh, haven't watched that movie in forever. And also all I know is the hills are alive with
the sound of
Zach Levine.
Zach Levine.